Good evening and welcome to Channel 4's nightly news broadcast. I'm Ashley Bertocci reporting on GDP. My co-anchors Justin Fada and Vucich will be reporting on current unemployment and inflation, respectively. Tonight's program will begin with the United States GDP, gross domestic product. For those who are not well acclimated with economics, gross domestic product is the market value of all officially recognized final goods and services produced within a country in a given period of time. GDP per capita is often considered an indicator of a country's standard of living. GDP per capita is not a measure of personal income. Currently, the United States GDP is measured at $15.08 trillion.
Can we finally see the light at the end of this incredibly dark tunnel? Is there any hope for escaping the bear market?
Fortunately for us, Justin, bearish forecasts for the U.S. economy are giving way to more upbeat views on the nation's ability to weather federal spending cuts and tax increases. There has been a 3% pace of growth in the first quarter, up from 0.8% in December. United States GDP is expected to increase to 3.3% from the previous 1%. Real GDP increased 2.2% in 2012. That is from the 2011 annual level to the 2012 annual level, compared with an increase of 1.8% in 2011. Now time for a commercial break.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by the College Board. It's AP testing season, wasting your time and stressing you out. Spring is here, but don't enjoy the weather because you have AP tests. Back to you, Ashley.
The increase in real GDP in 2012 primarily reflected positive contributions from personal consumption expenditures, non-residential fixed investment, exports, residential fixed investment, and private inventory investment that were partly offset by negative contributions from federal government spending and state and local government spending. Imports, which are a subtraction in the calculation of GDP, increased. This increase in GDP reflects the possible expansion in our economy in the U.S.
How does the current GDP compare to the GDP in 2008?
Compare the current statistics to those in 2008, the recession hit with a vengeance. There were 3 quarters where the economy contracted. The subprime mortgage crisis in 2006 and the banking liquidity crisis in 2007 had finally resonated to the stock market. Just take a look at quarter 3 in 2008, and you'll see the recession was much worse than we knew at the time. The VEA revised estimates show the economy contracted 8.9%, much worse than any previous estimate. It is also worse than any quarterly contraction in any recession since the Great Depression. To better understand the concept of GDP, you must understand the concept of inflation. Now here's Nick, who will help you understand the concept of inflation.
Good evening, everybody. Webster's Dictionary defines inflation as a continuing rise in the general price level usually attributed to an increase in the volume of money and credit related to available goods and services. Inflation is measured by comparing the cost of a market basket of goods over time. The market basket consists of a number of goods that are representative of the economy. There are 2 types of inflation. Cost-push inflation occurs when an increase in the cost of producing a good or service causes the price of a good or service to increase. Demand pull inflation is when there's a lot of money in circulation and few goods and services. This allows the goods and services to be priced higher.
How is inflation actually measured?
There are 2 main price indexes that measure inflation. The Consumer Price Index, or CPI, measures price changes in consumer goods and services, such as cars, gasoline, and food. Producer Price Indexes, or PPI, are a family of indexes that measure the average change over time of selling prices by domestic producers of goods and services. The current inflation rate for March of 2013 is 1.47%. Back in January 2012, the inflation rate was 2.93%. In January 2011, the inflation rate was 1.63%. During the Great Depression, the inflation rate was about negative 10%. In the economic downturn of the late 1970s and early 1980s, the inflation rate was very high, at about positive 10%. Generally, a moderate inflation rate indicates a growing economy. The current inflation rate shows that the economy is currently expanding.
How does inflation affect the average American?
Inflation can affect lives in many ways. Primarily, uncertainty about inflation can cause people and businesses to spend less. This hurts the economy. Also, if the United States has a higher inflation rate than the rest of the world, the pricing of domestic products becomes less competitive. Retirees with a fixed income will have less purchasing power as prices rise but incomes don't. While some people dislike higher prices caused by inflation, wages are often increased too. We are going to take a short break. In the meantime, here's Ashley with weather.
Tomorrow there is a high of 57 with partly cloudy skies and a 20% chance of rain. It appears that the rest of the week will be in the high 60s, low 40s in the evening. Now here's Justin on unemployment.
Unemployment is commonly thought of as anyone without a job, but is this completely true? Not exactly. When the unemployment rate is calculated, the only people included are those 16 years of age or older and who are actively seeking employment. The key word here is actively, because even if a person is unemployed, they will not be included in the unemployment rate because they may have given up on pursuing a career.
So what does the unemployment rate show about the current U.S. economy?
Let's say the number of people who are not actively seeking work is constant for our analyzation today. With that said, the current unemployment rate as of March 2013 is 7.6%. We can compare this number to the unemployment rate in March 2012 and 2011, which were 8.2 and 8.8% respectively. As you can tell from this data, the unemployment rate is steadily decreasing, which is a positive sign for the overall health of our economy. But are these recent numbers within historical fluctuation, or is this a time of unusually large unemployment rates? The answer is that these are within normal fluctuation of the past unemployment data. During the economic trough of the early 80s, the unemployment rate maxed out at around 9.7%, which is right in line with our current economic situation, which maxed out at 9.6% in 2010.
What are your predictions for the future economy?
With this all said, I believe that the economy is on its way to another prosperous time following this law. There is no evidence that there will be an elongated recession that is outside this historical cycle presented previously. You may be asking yourself, what does this mean for me? Well, if this indicator represents the current state of our economy, then your investments will begin to improve, the housing market will begin to revive, and the job opportunities will be more plentiful.
Thank you, Justin. We are out of time. Tune in next week for another exciting topic, interpreting quotations from Shakespeare.